Cool, what's good, people? So this week reminded me that you should know your value, man. Just because there's an opportunity there doesn't mean you should always say yes. The real power is when you're able to say no. And let's just do a little recap of what I did this week. Hey, yo, Cookie, chill, man. This cat acts like she's never eaten in her life. We literally just fed her. But yeah, so this week I continued job hunting. So every Monday I would send out 20 or so applications for the fashion industry. So it's a very tailored approach and keeping it small and targeted. And I also reached out to some potential clients, to see where we could potentially work, chased up some invoices. You know how it be, man. And I have my notes actually just to make sure I cover stuff. And yeah, no, how could I forget? Building industry relationships this week. That's sort of what I've done throughout the last couple of days. But that's just a little quick recap. But I want to dive into knowing your worth. So for me, I'm not new to knowing your worth. And when I talk about knowing your worth, it's in the context of taking on client work, taking on freelancing, taking on projects, whatnot. And from the very beginning, when I sort of started doing my own thing, by default, you don't really. I knew my value, but obviously, when it comes to monetary value, that was the aspect that I wasn't so experienced in, But that's just like the nature of it. Like the more that you do, or the more you are doing your own thing and taking on client work and whatnot, selling your services, you start to sort of gauge the value of your work and how you should price things, and the red flags that you should look out for, and all those things really. And for me, most creatives really undervalue their services, at least, or even just their own value, because they're probably trapped in that sort of box where they can't think of being able to charge higher than a certain amount of money, or they're trapped in this, oh, I'm not experienced enough to be able to charge this amount. But then when it really comes down to it, when you're professional with the way you produce your work, and you've put in the hours, put in the time to master your craft, then that there alone is enough for you to be like, yep, I can charge this X amount and not lowball yourself. And the thing is, yeah, what people don't understand, or at least for those who are like beginning their freelancing or doing client work, there are people out there that have the budget, that the high budget, right? There's more people with the low budget scattered around and looking for these, cheap jobs, creative services and whatnot. But then you're just doing yourself a disservice of taking on those low paying jobs. Well, at the beginning, it's where you start, but when you start to understand your own value and your own worth, that's when you should be fuck brain the brain fart. That's when you should be, increasing your services or your pricing. For example, for me, throughout my journey, like my creative journey, I've sold artworks for £800. You know, I've designed a logo. Well, at the beginning, yeah, designed a logo for about £500. That's very cheap actually. And even for me, I should really bump up my prices. And I've done illustrations, just a single illustration for £150, like a fashion illustration. I've done, I've sold art print for 50 quid, like an A4 art print, So I've sold a tee for £50. I've sold a hoodie for 120 pounds. It's like I've I have enough experience to know that there are people willing to pay the price tag that you put on your product, on your services, and the real hard work is just reaching those people that are willing to pay your price. But when you think about it, the way you price your products, your services, it sort of reflects your experience and professionalism. So let's say there's someone who charges for a logo £500, like I did, and then there's someone who charges a logo for £10,000. You're gonna be like, okay, it's more likely that the person charging £10,000, whatever the outcome is, it will be very detailed and well thought out, and you'll get what you pay for. And then same goes with the £500 logo. You'll probably just get the logo and then that's it. You won't get no brand identity. You won't get sort of all these other things that go within sort of the use case of a logo. Because a logo is a logo. You need to be able to build a narrative around it. And a £10,000 logo is something, service, someone charging 10K for a logo, they would go in depth with building the narrative for that logo. So it's just not the logo itself, most likely. And people pay, well, most people they pay for time, If they have a problem and they have the money to solve that problem, they're paying essentially the time it takes, They're outsourcing their time. Okay, like you guys handle solving this problem because I need to use my time elsewhere. And if you're lowballing your services, you're just yeah, you're in the long term, you're just affecting your own business, really. Like it'll be harder for you to sort of get out of that low ball budget, because in your mind that's just what you're capable of. Like you need to get out of that and start shifting and moving your prices up, and automatically that will weed out the people that lowball or that think that creative services are cheap. Yeah, I get it. We're in this economy where money's tight and all that, but if you want a certain service, then you should pay for it, you know? Like, you shouldn't be a cheapskate about it. Because at the end of the day, that's a reflection on you, you know? So you're telling me you'd rather sort of lowball and then find the cheapest, or yeah, the cheapest way to execute a certain solution, and most of the time you'll get what you pay for. You pay cheap, you get terrible results. But that's just my opinion on it, you know? And yeah, for me, I'll definitely, you need to stand on your value too, you know? And obviously there are exceptions. Let's say you want to work with a specific person and you want to build a relationship and they might not have the budget to pay for your services, then you could sort of make an exception, make some rearrangements payment wise. But other than that, you should really be charging a lot higher than you normally would, because at the end of the day, your time ain't free, man. Like, bills gotta be paid, you know? And if your career is just on freelancing, and most of your income is just through freelancing, then you should be charging more. Like, no one's gonna be paying your rent but the income that you take in from the freelancing, right? And it's not just like, what do you call it? It's not like in corporate where, of course, like they got the budget, they can just take on people and do the work for them. Bro, I don't even know where I'm going with this. Yeah, man, I tried to structure this shit, but I think it's better for me when I just speak on the top of my mind. But yeah, nah, who gives a shit? No one really watches this all the way. This is just for me to clip and share on my socials. But yeah, knowing your value is important. And you'd be surprised that there are people out there with insane budgets. And it's just, the hard part is finding them. And yeah, I think that's for me. I'm at that point where I'm more selective with the clients I take on and more firm on my price tag. Of course, if I find that, okay, I really want to work with you, or I want to build a relationship because my sort of business standpoint aligns with yours and whatnot. When you really like boil it down, yeah, this whole thing is about give and take. You know, like, that's just the reality of it. It's give and take. They're giving you money for your services, and vice versa. And yeah, man, there's nothing free. Like, if someone's doing something for free, right, there's always that intention behind it, whether like, oh, later down in the future you will be helping them, or they expect, no, not expect, but it's building that rapport, I'm helping you now, and then maybe later down the line when I need help, you'll be able to help me. And it should be like that, really, give and take. Obviously, to a certain extent, you can't have expectations and whatnot, but there should be that level of sort of trust. Yeah, I think it's just give and take, man. Really, it's like a value economy, you know. Like since the dawn of time, we've always been trading things. So whether it be when we were hunter gatherers, we would, trade. I don't know if I have a certain amount of fish, and you have a certain amount of, I don't know, certain meat, then we would trade. It was never like, uh, a free thing, There's always a trade-off. Even just like following your dreams or building your goals, you're trading your time for a vision that hasn't yet materialized. Shh, Cookie. But yeah, let me just check my man. This whole format, it just ruins the flow. I forget how much it ruins the flow. But I have to try new things. To be fair, I've done this before, but not for Uncut, where I try to structure things and make it flow and whatnot. How many minutes is this? 16. Cool. And also, I wanted to talk about having projects, personal projects, passion projects, where you've been working on it for a while. Shh, Cookie. Shh, shh. This cat, man. Yeah, passion projects. What was I gonna say, man? Yeah, sometimes you get to a point where you sort of lose that interest for it, but then you're reminded when someone you don't know takes interest in it, and you're like, oh shit. It just reminds you, like, oh, why you even started that project in the first place. For example, GTHEFIGHTER, I haven't been as active as I would like with it, because life, man. I've just been focusing on landing a 9 to 5 role in the fashion industry, or even in the architecture. But can I pause this? I can't even pause this, man. Cookie, man, chill. Just sit down. Shh. Huh? Acting like you haven't eaten, man. This girl already ate like 3 times, man, and it's only the afternoon. Anyways, but yeah, having a passion project that you're slowly losing motivation on. Sometimes when someone takes interest in it, it sort of rekindles that fire and reminds you of why you even started that project in the first place. And I don't know, it's weird, I mean, you shouldn't start a project anyways if what you're looking for is validation. But then I guess when someone takes interest in what you do, it does light that fire under you. You're like, oh, nice. Someone's, you know, taking interest, especially if you've been in a hiatus and you haven't even been active posting or work, just showing behind the scenes, or been posting your work for that project. But then someone still takes interest, I think it's just a nice gesture, and a good way of a reminder to, keep going. And I think that just goes with everything, really. Sometimes you just need that little, push from time to time to remind you, yeah, man, just keep going. Like, especially if your goal is to live off through the creations that you put out there. And one of the important things to remember is these passion projects, these might be the things that attract relationships in the industry. It acts as like a talking point, an icebreaker if they come across your work and then they find you through that. Yeah, I think just you just don't know where these things will lead, these passion projects. For me, I have Galanachi the creator, Galanachi the fighter. That has opened a lot of doors for me with building relationships within the boxing industry, being able to do client work with the Hall of Famers. It's insane. And then connecting with upcoming fighters. In hindsight, it's where you start. And a couple years from now, these industry connections that I built will be what would propel me forward. And vice versa. But yeah, no, it's just important to keep going. Like, as long as what your project is about still resonates or relates to the vision you have for the future, then you should keep on pushing it. You might not do it every day. It might just be once a week. But as long as like you're put in a certain amount of hours every month towards it, that's still enough, to keep the momentum going. Slow motion is better than no motion. Yeah. Let's see, what else is there? Yeah, and then I just wanted to end off this entry with this sort of thought where the journey will be long regardless. Whatever you do, whatever you pick, whatever you don't do, life will just be long anyways. It's funny because we say that life is long, I say that life is long, but then when you look at it in hindsight, it goes really quick, but in the moment it does feel very long. So you might as well choose something, whatever you do in life, you might as well do something that you genuinely enjoy. Whether it be a passion project or a passion project turned into a career, it's always important to have that something. Because in life we won't enjoy everything that happens in life. But if we can have these special moments or hobbies or visions, goals, whatever you want to call it, to sort of balance things out. Because back then, the reason why I quit architecture was I didn't have that creative outlet, or in hindsight, I didn't know that I needed a creative outlet. And my expectation was that my job had to be the one that had to be fun and to be the thing that is creatively fulfilling. But most of the time that's not the case, and it is your duty to find that outlet, create that outlet that would balance things out. And now that's sort of what I'm slowly implementing. So even like with me job hunting, Even if the garment tech roles I'm applying for isn't like the most like creatively, engaging thing. But the thing is, a job is a job. Even the bar job that I'm doing, as frustrating or as much as I want to leave and just land my 9 to 5 fashion role, because for me, I just want to, get in there and start learning, and then being able to implement what I learned into my own brand. That's why I'm just so impatient. I just want to leave the bar job, because the bar job, low key, I'm not really learning anything industry related. Okay, I mean, you got customer service, you have, all these things that is more of customer facing that can be translated, but that's not my main focus. Because for me, I want to learn more about the garment side, manufacturing, all those things that I can translate into my business, and that would allow for me to grow a business and move a business. But yeah, that's why I don't have too much expectations on my 9 to 5 or my day job being the thing that fulfills me, because for me, I believe it's your job to create that role that would eventually fulfill you creatively. And that's what Galanachi is, and that's what Pioneers of Greatness is, that's what GTHEFIGHTER is, and all of the other creative ventures that I do. But yeah, man, I think we'll wrap it there. Yeah, this one's a bit of a strange episode or entry, because of, looking on the iPad, and it breaks the flow. I prefer just talking and then just bouncing off through from the thoughts or ideas that I end up talking about. But yeah, that's it from me, man. Peace.